We are live tonight. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. We are live on the Believe in Monsters podcast. Another week talking Chicago Bears football. We finally have something to talk about as new additions have come to our Chicago Bears. Welcome in to the Believe in Monsters podcast. You can follow us on the Twitter machine at BIM_pod. Follow my friends Chris Krogman and Lucas Berry at Shy Bears 1985 and at LBerry_40. I'm Joe Gaither. You can follow me at Joe Gaither6. And we are here finally to break down the newest members of our Chicago Bears. We've been going weeks and weeks in mock drafts. And what are we going to do at 9? What are we going to do at 9? We finally found out what they did at number 9. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the live stream on Thursday during the first round. If you caught that, we appreciate you hanging out with us. But yeah, we found out what they did at 9, and then we moved into the next 3 days. So that's what we're going to get into tonight. We may get into the UDFAs. If not, there was a lot of them. We'll get into them for sure next week. But yeah, I'm basking in the draft, post-draft glory. And so I'm going to turn it over to my friends, Lucas Berry and Chris Krogman, to get us rolling. Lucas, how are you, my friend?
Joseph, I am doing well. I feel exhausted from draft season. I mean, the whole thing is like this huge culmination, and it's finally over. I guess kind of thankfully, I'm sick of hearing about the draft. Whatever. We had fun. We predicted it right, too. We told people the week before, we said Darnell Wright will be the pick, and we were spot on with that. You guys were with me on draft night. I placed top 10 in that Huddle Reports mock draft contest, so did well on that front. And yeah, I'm ready to see what's next for the Bears. They got some money to spend still and some needs to still address. So we'll see what happens. But Chris, how you doing, man?
Good. What's next for the Bears is rookie minicamp this Friday.
Woof.
Oh, it's already Friday? Wow.
I'm doing great. I think the draft was a lot of fun. I think, like I was saying with you guys, this was the most aware of draft prospects I've been in several years, to the point where I knew like everyone through the first 5 rounds, roughly, for at least for the Bears anyway, and many other players as well. Some to point and laugh at, some to, kind of wish that they didn't go to teams they went to, but it is what it is. So Saturday was a blast, though, man. If you were able to jump on the live stream with us, I know our boy Alvaro jumped on for a while. We had a couple of Luke's friends, Philly fans and Detroit fans jumping on. And yeah, it was a really good time. Luke, you asked me, I think, like after pick 3, who the pick was going to be. And I was like, Darnell Wright. It's Darnell Wright. And at the time, I didn't think, Carter was going to get there. I thought he was going 5 or 6, but yeah, he was there. They said, no, thank you.
That's the point we got to hop into right away. Yeah, the Bears traded out of the pick. I mean, we saw it. It was within like at least 2 minutes, like that. I've never seen a trade that quick. Like that was done before it even happened. What do we think? Is this a boneheaded move? Do we understand it? Or if let's say Darnell Wright is very good and Jalen Carter is all pro good. Do we regret that decision?
So here's my take. We'll never know. We'll truly never know how each situation would have played out if they take him at 9. We don't know. Like, we don't know if they take him at 9 if he turns into an all-pro, or if he goes to Philadelphia, or if he becomes an all-pro, or if he ends up with like the Texans or the Raiders or some other random organization, what he turns out like. I feel like Philadelphia is just the absolute perfect landing spot for him and any Georgia player. I don't know if Kirby Smart is, getting a bonus every time, that he gets a player drafted to the Eagles, but I think something's definitely in Howie Roseman's water up there in Philadelphia, that he just wants to draft all Bulldogs, which, I mean, smart. They're good players, but we'll truly never know how Jalen Carter would have played out in Chicago. surface level, talent wise, he's definitely very talented. There's, you can nitpick him apart if you want to, which a lot of people have done, saying, he's lazy, he takes plays off, he only flash, he's not as all pro-ish as everybody and their mom says, blah, 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 blah. But it's nevertheless, the talent was there. But we'll never know if he would have been a better option for the Bears than Darnell Wright. And to get an extra fourth to just drop one pick and still take the guy you wanted, you could tell, like I said, from on Saturday from Ian Cunningham's press conference that they were out already. You could just see it in Cunningham's face and the way he answered questions about Carter that they weren't all that impressed with him as a person.
Exactly. I mean, Chris just laid it all out there. I mean, first, you're exactly right. You never know how he's going to play, how he would have played out in Chicago based on living in the city, being around, just the circumstances and environment in Chicago. Our coaching staff versus the Philly coaching staff, our players in our locker room versus the Philly locker room and Philly players. All that stuff is different. And so all that stuff plays into what kind of player these guys are going to be. And if Ryan Poles evaluated, you know what? My pick is Darnell Wright. I have to protect Justin Fields. Or if he just says, hey, guys, these are my 3 best players available and our 2 best players available. And if they equal out and he says this guy, Jalen Carter, has a character knock versus Darnell Wright, I don't have a minus. I think you take the safer player, and okay, you might end up with a tackle who's at a B+ level, and you might watch a defensive tackle who plays at an A level, plays better than Darnell Wright is, but like I'm happy with the pick because you're protecting Justin Fields, you're prioritizing the offensive line. It's not like you passed up on him. Now I know Bijan had just went, but it's not like you passed up on him for Bijan or for trading back and taking JSN later in the draft or something like that. I'm happy with it. You get the extra 4th round pick, which they ultimately kind of moved around with later with a 5th round pick, I believe. So it's kind of a 1-for-1 swap. I'm very happy with it. And if Carter goes on, like I don't want to hear it from Bears fans. If Carter goes on and is defensive rookie of the year or is all pro, in 3 years or whatever, I don't want to hear it. If Darnell Wright, we should just focus on Darnell Wright. We should focus on what he does for the Bears, what he gives our offense, not what could have been. Won't be. I know it's a different position, but it cannot. It shouldn't be. We could have had Patrick drafted Trubisky. Just focus on Darnell Wright. I think he's a good fit for our offense. I think he's gonna be a good player. A couple of my buddies who have Tennessee glasses or goggles, very very thick on, are in love with him. So I'm buying their word for it. I think it's a good pick, and I think we should focus and support our guy and not look down south to Philly and think, oh, what could have been, no matter what happens in 4 or 5 years.
You know what I'm going to add? As soon as I figure out this sound machine thing is, when you're watching, God, I can't remember what the show is now, where they have all the panel of ESPN writers or whatever, and
PTI?
Max is just sitting. No, where Max is just sitting there, bloop, 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 bloop,
Around the
bloop, bloop,
horn.
around the horn. Yeah, I'm just gonna get the bloop bloop button for like all the points that you guys are just racking up over here, or maybe we'll like make it like Mario, like ding 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 ding. What you got, Lucas?
We need that. No, I think you guys hit on it all.
Look, you were the big one on Jalen Carter. You loved him.
Yeah, I think Chris was there with me, and like I said on draft night, I was still even a little upset when they traded back, with him on the board. But I did kind of knew it was a strong possibility, and like Chris said, the breadcrumbs were kind of there where Ian Cunningham was kind of told you they weren't going to draft him just from how that press conference went. But enough on that. I mean, it is what it is. My biggest thing is if Carter becomes a really good player, I won't be upset. But if he becomes like the next Warren Sapp, then I will be a little bit upset.
Yeah, and the fact is we'll never know, like I said, because if he's an all-pro in Philly, is it because of Philly and the surrounding people, or is it just him? My other take on Darnell Wright, just kind of slightly nuanced in comparisons with like everybody was talking about Skoronski. Is he, a B plus level tackle, or is he just an elite level guard? Both Paris Johnson and Broderick Jones were looked at as B plus level left tackles. Darnell Wright is kind of being judged kind of interestingly off of the tape last year from being a left tackle at Tennessee and not being very good, and then just excelling at right tackle, being more or less, I mean, he has played right tackle before, I think like in high school, but considering this might be like his like limited time at right tackle, what if he's an A plus elite right tackle? I mean, is that a bad thing? I mean, are we, if he turns into an all pro right tackle, are we upset?
Not at all. And I know we talk about this a lot on this show of, Broderick Jones, you take him, he was going to have to develop. I think Darnell Wright kind of steps in right away, and he's going to be one of your better pass protectors,
Yes.
which is great. And I think he comes with an attitude. I think he comes with, a great work ethic. I think I don't know if you guys saw him on draft night, the way, everyone was talking to him and, polls and Eberflus, you're going to be a Bear. And then Chris Morgan's on the phone. He's like, Simo, what's up, my guy? Like, those two are bonded already at the hip, and I love it. I think that he has a great relationship with Chris Morgan, the offensive line coach, and I think honestly that's a huge part of the process. Like, he's very excited to be drafted by the Bears. And Joe, did you get a chance to read what The Athletic put out today? The story about how the Bears kind of fell in love with him.
Oh no, I didn't. I'll have to check it out. What's the what's kind of big point or two?
I'll let you guys check it out, but it was just kind of takes you through the whole process of how they scouted him and how they really liked what he did versus Will Anderson, basically pitching a shutout. But supposedly, the day before Easter, he had a private workout in Knoxville with Chris Morgan, Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus was there. They basically mentally challenged him in the room as hard as they could. Chris Morgan gave him a bunch of concepts on the board. He raced and made him redraw all the concepts. Then they brought him out in the field and supposedly put him through. The people at Tennessee are saying the hardest workout any of them have ever seen someone be put through. They were literally trying to make him tap out, and Darnell Wright basically said, I'm not tapping out. Making him do up downs and then regurgitate all the information on the blackboard, basically on the field. Chris Morgan was changing the plays at the line, and after they just got this guy exhausted, and apparently he just aced it with flying colors, and that was it. They said that he was their number one tackle after that.
Hell
I
yeah!
swear they just regurgitate stuff in those stories that like you hear on the podcast, like because they ran through that entire scenario on one of the podcasts, either CHGO or Hogan Johns. The what it reminded me of when they were talking through it is like, this is a terrible movie reference, and don't hate me, but yeah, guilty pleasures and all that shit. G.I. Jane, when they make them like fucking absolutely exhausted and want to die, and then they have to like write a paper while they're sitting listening to like classical music trying to make them pass out, and they like have to stay awake and do this shit. That's what it reminded me of. It's just like beating the dude to death and then be like, okay, are you still intelligent? Because that's when your mind shuts off, right? Is when your body is just fight or flight. It's just like your mind quits. And if he succeeded in that scenario, I think he'll do just fine. So I'm stoked, honestly. I'm happy with the pick. And like I've said, that just taking an offensive tackle in the first round, just set up the rest of the draft so much better. And we saw it play out exactly that way.
Look at this line now that your draft is done. I mean, granted, you got to get to camp and everybody be healthy, this, that, and the other. But you got Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Cody Whitehair, Nate Davis, and then Darnell Wright. Like from left to right, I feel a lot better than I did 6 months ago.
Yeah,
I think they need one more depth tackle. Is my take, but after that, I will be fairly satisfied going into this year.
I don't disagree there, Lucas. I would have loved to see a later round tackle taken, or I think like Earl Bostic from Kansas was still out there for a UDFA. I would have liked to see them grab him. Our boy Jake Witt, I think, went in like the 6th or something like that. Or
I think he went to the Colts.
Yeah, and man, it's like it's funny who the guys that like, because Ballard gets good kudos for being a good drafter. And like, players that I liked went to teams that I was like, all right, whatever. The Colts don't really affect us other than Ballard's a former Bear person, but so stoked about Darnell Wright. I think, Bears fans are still shitting on the center position, and I know Cody Whitehair hasn't played there for 2 years, but you got to feel better about him than Golden Domer Sam Mustipher, because
yes,
he's terrible. So him and Patrick, I think, are better options.
Yes, I was gonna say we really don't know what Patrick is. I know people poo-poo on him, but just whatever. He's good depth. If the two of them battle it out and whatever,
he's
get another depth tackle, and I think they'll be all right. But before we go to the next pick, I'll just put this out there. So this is obviously came into a big factor this year. Really high in Ryan Poles. Relative athletic score for Darnell Wright was 9.68. So he was actually technically the most athletic in this whole draft class. Also want to throw it out there that he was a former 5-star recruit, which is a trend that Ryan Poles kind of hammered home in this whole draft, picking former 5-star recruits coming out of high school, which I just think is interesting. And then on the Beast, I think he was like maybe the 20th ranked prospect. I'm bringing it up right now. Number 24 overall, but I think he kind of moved up a lot of boards way later. So I think Brugler had him a little bit higher by the time the draft came around. So, that's it for Darnell Wright. I think the Bears got a hell of a lineman. And he can pass protect, which we love. We need pass protection.
Yeah, he said something about protecting Justin Fields, and I think he said, like, if he wants to hang out back there for 2 months or something like that and, wash his car or something, I got him. Or if he wants to take off running, then I'm going to chase him down. He's like, I might not catch him, but I'm going to follow him all the way to the end zone. So love to hear it. And he's nasty. Fits the demeanor that Poles is looking for. So let's
he kind of looks smelly. He kind of looks greasy, doesn't he?
No, he looks very handsome for a large man and very well kempt.
Come on now. You like that little he looks like he got a little grease, a little sweat on his brow.
Well, yeah. It looks like he's a hard worker, but he cleans up nice. So gotta show some love for the big man.
Of course.
Well, now we have to go to the other big man. He's probably the most controversial big man the Bears drafted. 2nd round pick, Gervon Dexter. Joe, you are an SEC guy. Do you know anything about him? Have you watched him, or do you not really watch Gators football?
Well, only after his pick did I really kind of look at some of the film clips that kind of came out. And I get what a lot of people, the criticism, his get off was not good on film. But I wonder how much of that is, their program has been in turmoil for a minute now. Billy Napier's going into his now 2nd year. So he's kind of, they undergone some coaching turnover at Florida. I don't know how consistent their program is right now. They've got kind of they've got some political issues off the field, just kind of as far as who's really running the program over there. So I wonder what the buy-in really was for a guy like Gervon Dexter. But you see a lot of the physical tools, and Luke, give us his relative athletic score here in just a minute. But you see his tools, and you heard him. You heard the Bears management talk about he won't be playing in a 2-gap system. He'll be playing really a 1-gap system, and I think that will help him. And sometimes I think guys get to big schools and just want to get on the draft radar and get into the league, and then they really kind of turn it on when they're playing for real money. So I think maybe it's just my Bears goggles. It probably is. I think this is going to be a pick that it might take a minute, but he's going to catch on and be an asset for the Bears defensive line.
Yeah, like Lucas mentioned earlier, with the trend of 5-star recruits, this is one of my favorite things that, when they drafted Gervon Dexter, I think initially Lucas was a little less than thrilled. I think reading some of the other comments outside of the Beast wasn't great. But Brugler was very high on Dexter. He was the highest rated 3 tech left going into day 2, not just where the Bears drafted. So he had him over Benton. He had him over Adebawore. But Gervon Dexter was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. I think the number 1 recruit in Florida, number 12 overall in the country, and a higher rated recruit than Mr. Jalen Carter, who went at number 9. One interesting thing, or number 10, 9. Yeah. One interesting thing I read was like one of those way too early mocks or whatever from like August of 2022. So like when football was just getting going for college football, is Dexter was like a top 10, top 15 pick on 2 different mock drafts. So the talent's definitely there. How he was coached, what he was asked to do in Florida wasn't what he's going to be asked to do in Chicago with the ones gap scheme, just get off and go. So he will have to remember how to do that or learn how to do that again. And when the everybody was complaining about his get off, I kind of looked up like, is reaction time something you can train yourself to be better at? And it is. I mean, you can get better reaction time. But yeah, I love the pick. I mean, if I'm being honest, his relative athletic score is phenomenal as well. I love the pick, so I think he's going to be just fine.
I mean, Florida's season went off the rails last year. They ended up. Y'all remember they beat Utah at home on that the first night of the season, and then they turned around and lose to Kentucky, and they lost at Tennessee 2 weeks later, like one of their big rivals. They went 6-7. The end of their year went off the rails. So I don't really know, and maybe that's a bad sign for Dexter, but I don't really know how easy it is to stay engaged. I don't. Maybe I'm just coming up with excuses for his motor, but there's my excuse.
Yeah, so just reading the overall beast here summary, he was Brugler's 55 overall player. Now that's right where the Bears drafted him. So according to Brugler, it's kind of right where you expect him to go. And as Chris alluded to, there really wasn't a whole lot of D-tackle talent left when the Bears drafted with their second pick. I mean, all the edge dudes flew off the board, and Dexter truly was one of the top guys out there. And I know people, I even rag on it that he really does look very slow. Like on film, it's noticeably slow off the snap, but as Chris alluded to, hopefully that is something that can be coached. But you're getting a guy here who is just an absolute beast of a person, 9.52 athletic score. He's 6'5", 310. And what's ironic about his get off is that his 10-yard split time is in the elite category. He has a 1.7 10-yard split. So for a guy his size, it's pretty insane.
Yeah, comment on how many times you see him get off the ball slowly, but still make impact on the plays.
I was going to say, it's as a run defender, it's evident the guy clogs gaps and he's hard to block. It's just, you're really, when you're looking at those upside 3 techs, you really want to see ability to rush the passer, which
true.
It seems like he has all the ability to do, but he hasn't quite harnessed it yet. But he does show flashes of dominance, and people are just really trying to say, okay, how do you harness that? But again, this is a round 2 pick here. It's not a round 1 pick. You're shooting for the stars on upside here. And if you're going to shoot for that, you want a guy who's gigantic and can move really fast. Brugler, as he said in his summary, Dexter must develop a more disciplined approach to turn the flashes into more consistent play, but he is agile, coordinated big man who has yet to play his best football. His traits-based projection who can play up and down the line, which will interest both odd and even fronts. And then just going off all that, the Bears follow-up pick to this Zach Pickens, I don't know if Dexter is going to be playing 3 tech more or 1 tech. I think they might use him more over the nose and let him just beat up the run game like he has been. We'll see.
So from what Poles was saying is that they were more or less interchangeable, is that the tackle position in general in that defense is interchangeable, not just that Dexter and Pickens were interchangeable, but that either one of those 2 guys could play 1 tech or 3 tech, and that they wanted their tackles going forward to be interchangeable at each position. But let's not skip over the pick in between the 2 tackles.
Oh yeah, I forgot they traded back up for him.
Traded up for Is it
Stevenson.
Tyreek Stevenson. Didn't want to mess that up. Unfortunately, I did not really do a whole lot of reading up on Stevenson. Is one of the guys that I was looking at for cornerback options for the Bears. There was some guys that Brugler had rated higher that were still available when they took Stevenson, but obviously the Bears really liked him. He was a 2-year starter at Miami after transferring from Georgia, where he was playing the star nickel position where he didn't want to play, essentially. Joe is not there currently, but I wanted to get his take. Joe, do you have your take on Stevenson at Georgia with Kirby Smart?
Well, I know the star, is basically that strong safety, that big nickel. And if he was playing that, then he was viewed as an athletic defensive back who had physicality. And doesn't that make? I mean, that's what you want in the Eberflus hit system. No, he only spent like a year at Georgia, but I think you see the approach to the draft, and it's almost like, I know that obviously they didn't listen to our daggone podcast, but it's almost like our thoughts are all aligned as far as addressing the trenches and then helping out the defensive backfield. I wonder, and we can get into this in later episodes, what the future of Jalen Johnson is going to be. But I love just adding to these positions, adding competition to these positions. You saw last year with Kyler Gordon, he played kind of that in that slot corner for a little bit, and he played outside. It took him a while to kind of catch on. I think if you have these defensive backs who have a myriad of ability to do different things, it makes you just that much harder to attack. And loading up a defensive back is really a great sign, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, touching on Johnson, I mean, Poles obviously has said these kind of things before, like with David Montgomery, but he wants to get Jalen Johnson re-signed and keep him in Chicago for a long time. I think were his exact words, but that could just be GM talk. It could just be, all smoke. But I do hope that Jalen is not going anywhere, and we could see him and Stevenson and Kyler Gordon be the three corner.
You put Vildor back on the bench, yeah.
I mean, you put Vildor in as a nickel. I mean, that's a massive I mean, not nickel, as a dime. That's a massive upgrade.
Right, but they even drafted 2 corners, so there's going to be a little competition there for sure. But Stevenson kind of fits that mold of very similar to Brent's. We hammered Brent's home before, but I guess Eberflus's type is a long, physical cornerback with long arms. You can play press man, and that's what he wants. So another pretty good athlete, 8.93 relative athletic score. And he was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, but he was a higher-rated 4-star recruit. Also should be noted that 2 of these first 3 picks are both at the Senior Bowl. I think both of them actually played on Getsy's team, Darnell Wright and Tyreek Stevenson.
Agreed.
I don't think Dexter was in the senior. I don't think he was a senior.
Correct. On all accounts, Lucas. Good call out.
Let's get to some offensive players in the 4th round.
No, you're missing one. We got one more D tackle this round.
You already started talking about Pickens.
You
talked about Pickens a little bit.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You got some more to say about Big Pickens? Give it to us.
Well, Zach Pickens is the next guy on our list. He was the first pick in the 3rd round. And I think another guy that Bears fans are kind of claiming was a reach, but with only 1 pick in the 3rd round, if they liked him, I think it's a kind of another shoot for the moon upside pick. Something I thought was really interesting was Rod Marinelli was talking about how 3 techniques, one of the best indicators for 3 techniques in the defense are the broad jump numbers. And both Zach Pickens and Gervon Dexter were among the top broad jumpers, but Zach Pickens specifically was number 1 in the entire class. His relative athletic broad jump is 9.7. So a very ridiculously explosive athlete with kind of a crazy first step. I mean, He's 6'3", 291, but he can fly. So sticking with the trend of explosive athletes, I think the Bears have two guys in Pickens and Dexter who they're just trying to hit a home run on one of them, take the upside.
So Pickens had the tied for number one at 116 inches, and Gervon Dexter was 110 inches. So those, yeah, they're jumping off. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm excited about both these
Are
guys.
these guys going to make Jack Sanborn a superstar next year?
Jack Sanborn might be lucky to see the field, man. At this rate,
No.
the way they're signing linebackers and drafting linebackers, and we're on to the fourth round, Joe. So tell us about your boy Roschon. Actually, this is Lucas's dude, but
yeah.
Lucas has been drooling about Roschon Johnson since.
You want me to take it away, Joe? I got
Saturday.
all the info on Roschon. Yeah, I think. Well, there's a few things to address here. The fact that the Bears drafted a running back does not mean Khalil Herbert is being cut or won't make the team. I think that is ridiculous talk.
It's weird.
I think it is possible that Johnson could take over the backfield, and I do think it is possible that he is being way overlooked because he was running behind Bijan Robinson. But to the Bears' advantage, they were able to get him in the fourth round as opposed to maybe people were saying he could have been a round 2 pick if he was the lead back there. They're saying he would have been one of the best feature backs in college football. But Roschon Johnson he does it all, and he adds a skill set the Bears haven't had in a while. I know we said Montgomery was kind of their best pass blocker as a running back for a while, but I think Roschon Johnson is a very good pass blocker out of the backfield. He can catch some passes. He can run some routes at a decent clip, and he's an incredibly explosive one cut and go back. Talk about explosion. I mean, I think he ran a 4.58 40 time, but his 10-yard split is in the elite category. He ran the same 10-yard split as guys like Jahmyr Gibbs at Bijan. So take that for what it's worth, that those guys can absolutely burn, and his 10-yard split kept up with them. So really explosive dude. And I think the Bears just got an absolute steal. People talk about how high a character guy he is, and basically take all the good qualities of David Montgomery and put him into this back. And you got Roschon.
What do you make of Roschon Johnson's high school quarterbacking ability and the fact that he did a little bit of that in Texas?
The stupidity I saw on Bears Twitter about having him back there to actually throw a pass when you have Justin Fields is just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But hey, sure. Yeah,
I do think he can run some
throw pass.
Okay, so is Matt Nagy now our secret offensive coordinator? Are we running like Santa's helper with fucking Roschon Johnson?
I think it's more of a factor in the quarterback run game when you don't want to get Fields hit all the time.
Right. I'm talking like once a year, like maybe twice a year.
You have to run that like more than once a year to have it like be a thought at the back of a defense.
Sure, you hit him with 20 toss sweeps before you let him stand up and throw it.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's like, oh, this is what we're gonna do like all the time with the guy, but like it's an aspect of his skill set.
I just see these like threads getting pulled on Bears Twitter that just crack me up. You know, like Lucas alluded to Khalil Herbert getting cut or traded or benched or not dressing. He's still, if not the starter, the change of pace back at the very least going into the season. No matter how much you like Roschon or anybody else, Herbert's still going to be a very big.
I mean,
I like Foreman a lot, but like, listen, dude, Foreman wasn't
Tariq Cohen threw a touchdown pass in the John Fox offense.
Well,
what are you talking about, Joe?
Didn't he?
But that wasn't the John Fox offense. That was the
under his tenure. But before Matt Nagy got there is what I'm saying.
Well,
like, you don't get crazy when a running back throw a pass.
Like literally anybody's better than Mitch Trubisky, though. I mean,
fair.
We're not talking about letting Tariq Cohen throw a touchdown pass instead of Justin
All right.
Fields.
Fair
I
We're
get
talking
it.
about
I
the
get it.
backfield.
I get it. It'll be a fun goal line exercise to see what Roschon Johnson can bring to the table. I like the pick a lot. I think what's been said is very positive about Roschon not just being low tread on the tires. If he wasn't in Texas behind Bijan, that he would have been phenomenal elsewhere. Bijan and every other Texas player calling him the best teammate they've ever had in their entire lives. Texas coaches talking about him being just a class act human being. He is everything that David Montgomery was and potentially more, just being the high character type of person and very talented to boot. So exciting 4th round pick at the very
I think all these backs will really, really kind of accentuate each other's strengths too. I mean, Johnson's going to be kind of give you that third down ability and also a lot of power. You got Herbert, who, like we said earlier, is one cut and go
throw the ball.
in the field, and Foreman is your kind of breakaway speed guy. And I know we talked about it before, but I think Homer will be kind of a non-factor, but more of a special teams guy who might kind of be like a gadgety type. But interesting backfield. I think the Bears are going to continue to run a lot this year, and I love it.
I agree. So 4th round pick, Roschon Johnson. We all love it. It's a solid one. Moving on to
Hey Chris.
Yeah,
Chris, let me move
sure.
on.
Yeah.
What's gonna be more next year? Roschon Johnson's passing yards or Velus Jones' receiving yards?
This is a stupid question. You should have said Velus Jones's punt return yards, and that would have been a much better joke.
Okay. Well, I was stuck on. I was gonna say Justin Fields' rushing yards, but that would have been a terrible joke.
Well, Velus caught one pass last year for like 50 yards, dude. If he does that one time next year, it's going to be more passing yards than Roschon Johnson has. Come on, bro.
All right. No. I have a better question for Joe. Roschon Johnson's passing yards or Velus Jones dropped passing receiving yards?
Yeah, I think Roschon's gonna pass for right at 48 yards for the season. 48 yards. It's gonna be 2 separate passes.
I'm taking the under on that, dude. I'm not taking that at all.
It's gonna be like 2 big plays. One in week 3, one in week 16. Big plays. So you're 48 yards. No, Velus is definitely dropping more receiving yards, potential receiving yards. Well,
All
shit.
right, well,
actually, no. He's not even getting on this field.
Yeah, we need to talk about my favorite Bears pick of the draft.
There you go.
Right
We're
now.
setting up the next pick. Y'all think I'm being silly, but we're setting up the next pick.
Tyler Scott. We hit him. I think we've talked about most of these guys on this podcast at some point, which I'm very proud of us. We kind of went through shotgun a bunch of guys that the Bears could pick. I know, Chris, you were on Dexter way earlier in the season. You mentioned him as a name. I know we talked about him for a fact. That was your guy. I'm almost positive we talked about Pickens, and we beat Tyler Scott to death in the wide receiver episode. So, BIM did some homework.
Yards per catch for Mr. Tyler Scott. All Roschon has to do is connect with Tyler Scott, and there's your 48 yards because he's Mr. Big Play, getting down the field.
Now this Brugler had him as his wide receiver 7 second-round grade, and the Bears stole him at the end of the 4th round. Chris, what do you got on Scott? You like this pick a lot?
Yeah, another guy that is not replacing Darnell Mooney. Like, chill the fuck out, Bears fans. Good God.
It's okay to have more than 2 good receivers.
All they did last year was complain about how we had no skill players, and then as soon as we get one, they're like, let's get rid of all the old ones. Like, dude, everybody was trying to convince us how Darnell Mooney was a 1A or a 1B or a 2A, and now he's off the roster. It's like, all right, I get you're excited about new toys, but pump the brakes. I mean, Tyler Scott, super excited, but dude's got to play some snaps before we just say, hey, let's
Plus,
get rid of
plus,
a proven commodity.
why can't we be excited about Tyler Scott playing the Dante Pettis role or like getting those snaps? Like that's fine. I'd rather see that than Pettis. You know what I mean? It's like I don't gotta get rid of our good guys. Let's get more of Scott out there. I don't want to see Harry or I know that's your boy, but I don't want to see Harry or Pettis out there anymore.
Harry's not even on the squad, dude. I don't know where
I thought you said he was.
Dude, that's what some I think the website said it. Like the official Bears website said it up until I don't know, whatever day I was telling you that. Didn't Tyler Scott also play some special teams? Isn't he a gunner for Cincinnati? I mean, that's fantastic too. I mean, guys contributing on special teams is what you need. I mean, especially when they have that amount of talent as well. Because I think the conversation really comes down to, your top 4 wide receivers are really the only receiving options you're gonna have. Numbers 5 and 6 really are almost special teams guys. So, you're not gonna have Darnell Mooney playing special teams most likely, and you're not gonna have ESB and Dante Pettis, yes, because only because he returns punts. But I'm with you, Lucas. I mean, why limit ourselves to having only, why can't Tyler Scott be wide receiver 5 or 6 and play special teams?
I am so excited about this pick though, just because I do think he does, like, if it does come to that point next year where the Bears have to choose who they're signing, and let's just say for whatever reason they don't want to pay Mooney, this is a guy who I think has the potential that he could show you this year to be like, hey, I'm that good. We'll see. We got to get to that point first, but he makes that decision between Mooney and Claypool next year if they have to do that a lot easier if he's as good as Brugler thinks he is. Brugler had a lofty comp for him. He says he's similar to Tyler Lockett. I mean, we'll see, but if the Bears found a guy like that, that would be incredible. But basically, Scott's strengths are perfect for Fields. I mean, he's a pure home run hitter with some route running ability. 4.44 guy with, I'm pretty sure he was in a junior Olympic track sprinter. So this guy's got speed to burn, especially deep down the field. We alluded to it before on here, average touchdown of almost 45 yards receiving, which is absurd. So good mesh with Fields' skill set here. He's just tiny.
Good mesh with Roschon Johnson's skill set.
Who was the next pick, Chris?
All 14 of his touchdowns in college went for 20 plus yards. So
yeah,
basically, like, I mean, how I take that is like he's good between the 20s, but once they get inside the red zone, they're not going to use him because
he's 5'9", 180 pounds. At least he's not 150 pounds, but.
Man, that who's that 5'5" running back that led the nation in all-purpose yards last year that people are
Deuce Vaughn
went to the Cowboys. Good God, dude. Y'all need to chill. Y'all need to chill.
But
is that Jock Vaughn's kid or something? Or who is this Deuce Vaughn?
Yeah. He was Jock Vaughn's the coach of the Nets. He was the son of the scout of the Cowboys, though. So they had emotional moment on draft night. But Brugler had Scott ranked at 48, so the Bears got him at 100 and something?
133rd.
Yeah, and he was ranked 48 on Brugler's list. So quite the steal of the draft if you're going by those rankings.
So our next pick, Lucas, I'm glad you asked, is our 5th round pick. Another 5-star recruit out of high school, number 148 overall, a Mr. Noah Sewell. Brother Penei Sewell plays for the Lions, and he's got another brother, I think, that plays for the Buccaneers or some shit. Like, this is just
well, this is actually, the more I looked into him, because I know a lot of us were like, who the hell is this guy? Chris, if you go back and look at those, like you said, you look it up for Dexter. If you look up the 2022 mock draft of the 2021 after the 2021 season, Sewell was another first-round pick. Right. They were saying he was supposed to be better than his brother. He was incredible at Oregon that year, and he had a really kind of bad year last year. But there's also a lot of other issues at Oregon. They got a new coaching staff, and they had some turmoil there. So some stuff that's out of his control, and his level of play dropped. But really, like we've kind of been hitting home this whole time, Bears betting on big time upside, big time athleticism. And I thought this pick was interesting because even in Brugler mentioned he has kind of this crazy pass rush ability and an arsenal of moves where Brugler thinks he can maybe get some run at edge, which I thought was interesting considering what the Bears have. So we'll see.
So they addressed that on one of the podcasts I was listening to today. And they said they didn't really think that he was going to get a lot of run at edge, that he was more a middle linebacker that knew how to blitz. So he could come off the edge at times, but it wasn't going to be, a lot of Bears fans are already trying to turn him into an edge. And I don't see Poles. Yeah, it's situational. And I don't see Poles and company being that team that just picks guys to move them immediately like, previous regimes have done.
Yeah, I just think it'll give him a kind of a different skill set to mix in there. And another guy who will play special teams. And just reading his kind of scouting report from Brugler, it sounds like it sounds very similar to Jack Sanborn, honestly. It's just like good at stopping the run, won't give you much in pass coverage, high motor type of guy.
Jack.
Blah, blah, blah. So,
which is interesting because he's another like athletic freak, but doesn't have the play athleticism that you would expect.
But this is honestly, we haven't really hit on this, but this has kind of been Eberflus's bread and butter too. In Indianapolis, was his ability to develop linebackers has been pretty solid. So this is interesting, more so than defensive line, I would say. His track record with linebackers, specifically later round ones, has been pretty good. So interesting pick for sure.
100%. I agree. Hopefully our defensive line coach is good.
I don't even know who our defensive line coach is.
I actually saw his name the other day and I was like, oh, yeah, that guy. Cool. No idea who he is either. But for our second 5th round pick, which is the one we got for trading back in the 4th from 103 to 115, was number 165, the second corner drafted, as Joe alluded to earlier, a Mr. Terrell Smith from Minnesota. It was a 3-year starter there. Mixed coverage scheme, making splashes as a freshman. Kind of lost in the wilderness a few years before producing his best season as a senior, leading the team in pass breakups, top end speed and foot quickness. And hopefully he's another addition to the secondary. It's funny that they added another person in this secondary room, considering that like Jalen Jones played pretty well last year, as well as the other cornerback. I can't remember his name now. But anyway, another corner added to that room. Luke, anything on Terrell Smith?
I honestly didn't know too much about him. I just know I'm pretty sure Brugler had him as a 3 to 4 round grade. So pretty sure it's kind of another one of those guys the Bears got tremendous value on, technically speaking. And someone pointed this out on Twitter. I thought it was kind of an interesting find. All the corners that Poles and Flus have drafted have all come from a little bit of adversity early in their career and kind of helped themselves in their last year in college. Kyler Gordon had kind of the same thing, a slow start, and followed it up with some really strong seasons. And then this year, Stevenson and Smith here, both the same kind of story, struggling early on and kind of really finding their groove later. So just interesting find on that part. Bears picking some guys who face some adversity early in their career at cornerback.
So Brugler had a 4th round grade on him. He is a 5th-year senior who is nearly 24 years old, but did run a 4.4, had a 1.5 10-yard split, which is solid, better than the top 3 guys in the draft. Decent quickness, decent feats. So yeah, I mean, 5th round pick, though, late 5th round pick. 165 is borderline 6th round. So yeah, just another guy to add to the room and add some competition.
He got 13 starts last year, and so it's like I'm reading exactly like you said, Luke, that he played reserve for a while before having a great fifth season. I want to throw this at you guys as we've hit our fifth round, as we've hit the end of the fifth round picks. Through the first, how many is this now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks. Through the first 8 picks, we've picked guys who have all come from Power 5 programs. Yes, even Cincinnati is a Power 5 program now. So you've taken all big school guys, and just like your relative athletic score, and just like your 5-star prospects, I find it very interesting that through the first 8 picks, he goes with guys who have played all high level college football.
Yeah. No, I agree, Joe, and that's a great call out. And maybe it doesn't work out. It's just the 5-star recruit thing really to me shows that there's a baseline there and room to get to that elite status with the right situation, the right coaching, and hopefully we have that. And it's not like it was like, they traded up for these guys or they were high first rounders, all of them, but very, very exciting to see the top end potential of these guys and to all have played Power 5 schools. And I think somebody else put this out, like all of the top guys had 30 plus starts in their career, something like that. Maybe even higher than that, 35 plus starts all the way through Pickens. So like Wright, Dexter, Stevenson, Pickens all had a significant amount of starts in their college career. Lucas, does that sound familiar? Am I making that up?
I mean, it sounds about right because I think a lot of these guys are a little bit older. I at least know Wright is a little older. I think
every
Dexter
college guy is older now. The NIL deals
Well-
are just making these dudes like 26 before they come out.
It's the extra COVID year.
You can't keep blaming COVID.
I know, but they gave everybody the extra year.
But they still had played football that year because of Justin Fields. They got to play that year.
And they
So
didn't count it for a year of eligibility.
unless their
I'm
name was
kind of
Trey
glad.
Lance.
I'm kind of glad that that's how they're drafting. Just because I mean, we saw what happened with Mitch taking a guy early who's only had 12 college games under his belt. I mean, there's just too much projection with too many unknowns of you don't know. So
Unknowns that you don't know.
Me
Unknowns that
and
you
Adam
don't know.
Shaheen, baby.
I mean, I like to know things I don't know.
me too.
But you're never going to know unless you try. So, and knowing is half the battle, as they say. So
Where did Adam Shaheen? What was his school?
now we know. What?
Ashland. You went to
You're right,
Ashland.
yes.
Something.
Yes.
Why? See, this is
Golly.
like the thing. The funny things that we got into on Twitter in the last few days, and like the fact that you remember that. Like I had somebody who's been on this podcast tell me that Ego Ferguson went to Florida. Shame.
Didn't he go to LSU?
LSU, yeah.
Yeah, he went to LSU.
And Will Sutton he was Sun Devil State.
Arizona State, Sun Devil State. The hell? Where's that?
Well,
All right,
I was gonna say
guys,
that.
seventh rounders.
Yeah, I don't know
Travis
anything
Bell,
about these guys.
defensive lineman out of Kennesaw State, and Kendall
Personally.
Williamson, cornerback out of Stanford. Let me read you what is listed on the Bears draft profile, courtesy of the Bears app. This is from Travis Bell. Travis Bell posted 4 tackles in the season opener at Stanford, assisted on a tackle for loss at Jacksonville State. Also recorded 4 tackles in the contest, tied a career high 5 tackles in a win over Charleston Southern. Added 1.5 tackles and a sack in the next contest. Let's see, blocked a field goal. So looks like it's just straight from his Kansas State. His Kennesaw State.
Kennesaw State. First
State.
player ever drafted
First
from
Kennesaw State drafted ever. Look at this.
Congratulations.
That's right.
We're just all over it. We're all over it on this podcast. We have read all of the things for you folks who have.
I don't see him even on Brugler's list. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy drafted that wasn't on Brugler's list. Is he a
Even
D end or
Brugler
D tackle?
doesn't know who he is. He's a D tackle.
6 foot, 310 pounds, spent 5 years with the Kennesaw State Owls, played in 44 games, totaling 11 sacks and 24 and a half tackles for loss. A 2022 graduate student, probably because of the COVID year, he totaled a career-high 30 tackles and 1.5 sacks. As a senior in 2021, he was named All Big South Conference second team.
Say it with me,
6'1",
Joe. Travis
290.
Ball, no matter what.
Travis Ball, no matter what.
It's Travis Bell, dude.
Travis Bell, no matter what.
He's from Montgomery, Alabama.
He did 30 bench press reps, 32.5-inch vertical leap, which isn't bad. It won't tell me what his broad jump is, so we can see if he's actually going to work out at 3 tech per Rod Marinelli.
His broad jump is 902.
Where'd you find that?
I'm looking at his RAS. I don't know if that's 9'2". It doesn't have.
It has to be 9 foot 2
Be
inches.
9 foot.
Yeah, so
Give it right in weird.
yeah.
That's
What's the
80th percentile broad jump?
I mean, wait, what? It's 9'2".
9'2". And I guess for his weight,
That's it's the same as Dexter, and it's only 6 inches shorter than Pickens. That's pretty good.
Well, 6 inches is a lot.
That's not what she said.
Yeah. She said that's average.
When it comes to broad jump, it's a lot.
Well, yeah, man, but no, not really.
Travis Ball, no matter what.
Travis Ball, no matter what.
How many stars did he have coming out of high school? Did he even exist?
No, he was just like all of a sudden showed up on Kennesaw State like this year. It's amazing.
Type him into 24/7. Travis Bell 24/7. Let's see.
Ooh, you looked up the 247. Look at that. He's got a Twitter account.
We don't care about that. We only care about his 247.
Yeah, we do. Let's have him on the show.
Joe, what scripture do you think he has as his quote on his Twitter?
Philippians 4:19.
4:13, but yeah.
4:13.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm looking for him in this beast. I don't see him. Looking.
Holy smokes. He was not rated. His composite rating was a 2-star recruit. He was rated as the 129th prospect in Alabama in the class of 2017.
So Ryan Poles did everything we just talked about and smashed it down with a big hammer, taking someone from Kennesaw State. He wasn't even ranked out of high school.
Oh, he had an 8.22 RAS, though. Here's the thing.
It's going to be driven.
It's the 7th round, okay?
I'm just.
The other thing is Ryan Poles was gushing about this kid's character. He said
yes,
he didn't want to stop hanging out with him. He was just that kind of fun person to be around. So
hopefully he'll be able to cut his ass if he can't make the team.
Come on, Joe.
It's not his job. It's in the coach's hands now.
It is his job to cut him.
No.
Right. Where's D tackles? You guys can go on to the next guy. I don't even know.
Kendall Williamson. Kendall Williamson is a cornerback out of Stanford.
Safety.
All right, safety. The Bears have listed him as a corner.
All right.
Chris, does he have a beast right up?
Who? Williamson?
The 6-foot, 203-pounder appeared in 44 games over 5 seasons for the Cardinal, compiling 213 tackles, 11 for a loss, 1.5 sacks, 1 interception, 13 pass breakup, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. Last season, Williamson played in 10 contests, recording 50 tackles, 2.5 for a loss, 1 interception, and 3 pass breakups. Williamson. There you go. There's your update.
I actually lied. So he was in the beast. Travis Bell was in there. He's Brugler's 42nd ranked D tackle.
So Kendall Williamson does not have a write-up. He's the 35th 35th ranked something in the beast. It's got to be safety because I doubt it's corner. But let me just double check. I don't know why
Well, the
Dave
Bears
can't
app,
do a
the
position
official
there.
Bears app lists him as a corner. Is he going to play safety for us, guys?
He's a safety. Dude,
All
some just because some pimply faced tweeter for the Bears staff doesn't know how to list his kids.
No, it's not a
Position.
tweeter. It's on the freaking app.
It's, their public relations, Twitter page, whatever. It's all the same thing.
It's not on their
So
Twitter.
So what do we know about him? Did he play?
He ran a
special teams?
4.4. He was a 1.59. Yeah, he's a special teams ace. They said essentially Elijah Hicks of this draft.
Very
DHD
nice.
probably, according to Usaid Kashul, he is not. He is going to push DHC out the window.
No.
Kendall Williamson will.
That's what I'm saying.
Will he push Elijah Hicks out the window?
No, push DHC out the window.
Why couldn't Hicks do that? Is he not good enough?
Because you got to keep Higgs. He's young.
Because they had both. Why would he?
I'm
need
looking
to-
at highlights right now. Just a
Whoa.
black screen now.
Are you saying there are no highlights?
There's no highlights.
It's all downhill.
Well, he only
It's all
had
downhill.
200-something tackles in his college career.
Shoot, man. Dexter had 100 in his last 2 seasons.
Well,
my man.
Travis Ball, no matter what.
All right,
Why
I'm just
would-
gonna run. I'm just
Oh,
gonna
I get it,
run
because
through
his name is
the undrafteds
but his
real
actually
quick.
Bell.
Yeah, just because dude can't pronounce his
Good-
name. It's just saying
Good
that.
luck saying that. Good luck saying the kicker's name.
All right, so Micah Bakersville from LSU is signed. He is in the beast. I think he's like the 26th ranked linebacker. Robert Burns, running back from Connecticut, is signed. He's also in the beast, but not a write-up. I think he's like 30 something. Andre Smith.
Oh,
Now, that's interesting. I heard he could actually push Santos for a starting spot. He's supposedly really good.
What's his? How do you say his name?
I don't know how to say his name. I just know he's really good.
Well, how are you gonna be like good luck saying his name and then not have like? Why are you blue balling me, bro? Do you not know how to say his name? Don't say shit like that.
I don't know how to say it.
Don't
I'm just
ask
saying
me.
it's
Don't
tough
say
to
that.
say.
All right, Tyler Badgett from Shepherd. Who's our boy? Who's our Bears boy that's excited about the Tyson kid from Shepherd? Is it Joe Hurt? Joe? Is it Joseph Hirsch?
It might have been.
Or is it Braggs? It might be Braggs. One of these knuckleheads is.
He was a combine invite. I know that.
Macon Clark from Tulane, safety, is signed. Cornerback Dejon Warren from Jackson State signed. The picture that they have of Homie is him returning an interception with his foot out of bounds. That's great. Gabe Huey from Pittsburgh, offensive lineman, is signed. Jalen Harris from Arizona, defensive end, signed. Justin Broyles, safety from Oklahoma, offensive lineman Loren Metz. None of these dudes I did a lot of pre-draft work and none of these. I
they're
don't
going to
know
be
who any of these
superstars,
dudes-
dude.
don't know who any of these dudes are. It'll be amazing if any of them make the team. This is the first year we can say that.
There's the DN from Houston is another intriguing guy. I think he had some pretty decent college stats. I don't really know
This
his name,
dude's-
but
This dude's got a great name. Delaware wide receiver Thyrick Pitts. Thyrick.
that sounds like a medical. It sounds like a medical diagnosis.
Yeah, I got the Thyrick picks. It's my Thyrick
That's so
Pitts
good,
is
dog.
acting up. Bobby Hankins from tackle from USC. Offensive lineman Nicholas Amoa from California. Edge DeAnthony Jones from Houston, as Lucas said. Desmond Bissett from Buffalo offensive lineman. They signed a boatload of UDFAs for. Oh, these are minicamp invites. These are not even. These aren't real people.
I want to go back to
my
something
brother.
you just said as you're reading these names, Chris, and I want to have Luke react to it. He's reading off these names, and he said, none of these guys are going to make the team, comma, for the first time in a while that we can say that. How amazing is that, Luke? Because he's right. He's absolutely right. I do not disagree one bit that you've had practice squatters added to this roster over the last 5 years that you can identify and say that guy can make the team, that guy can help us out, that guy can help us out. And I don't think that I don't think that's not the case this year because we brought in bums as practice squatters or as UDFAs. I think it's that way because you finally have enough of a baseline of a roster, enough of a baseline of youth in a roster to where you're drafting to add to that. And now you've got a clear designation of, oh, these guys are on the practice squad. These guys are UDFAs. These guys are really going to have to step up to push the other group, Luke.
Yeah, I think it's good to finally be able to say that. And I think one of the draft analysts also came up with a good point about this. Supposedly now there's a shift in the NFL where some UDFAs or priority UDFAs actually get larger contracts than those that get drafted in the 6th and 7th round. So they had said teams are making it a priority to gain 6th and 7th round picks to draft the rights to these guys and possibly get them on cheaper deals than they would get as an undrafted free agent. So I'm pretty sure some of these guys literally asked to be undrafted so they can negotiate that.
Travis Bell, no matter what.
Travis Bell, no matter what. By the way, Dane Brugler had this kicker listed as his 7th ranked kicker. He's 6'5", 200 pounds.
What?
This guy is a
He's
beast.
6'5"? Holy
It says
shnikes.
6'005". Does that mean he's 6'5"? Does that mean he's 6'1.5"?
6 means he's 6'1.5".
Oh my god! It means he's 6,005 inches. This guy's fucking huge.
He still wants more.
Yes.
What is that DN's name? I need to look him up too. Just
the
before we
Houston kid?
hang up here.
What is the Houston kid's name? Now you got me scrolling and scrolling. Keep scrolling. What?
I just think that point that Chris is making as you're looking that up. I just think that point that these guys are probably not going to make the roster just shows, golly, how far you freaking come. And I think that Poles is so far, 14 months into his tenure. I'm loving the direction. Keep going. Keep pressing.
You say 14 years?
Yeah. Months.
Fair enough.
Isn't it roughly
his name?
D'Anthony Jones. He's not listed in the Beast.
Oh my God, he's horrible.
Unless
if Brugler doesn't know him, nobody knows him.
I am saying though.
He is there.
Though.
He is the 73rd ranked defensive end.
It sounds like
they don't want him.
73rd.
5 foot, 5'09", 40-yard dash. That's horrible.
Yeah.
5'9".
I'm all fucked up right now.
5'9".
I'm telling you now, the kicker.
You're not wrong on the 40, dude. 5'09". That is awful.
Sounds like old Joe Gaither in high school right there, blazing down that 40-yard dash.
He's 6 foot 276 though, man. He sounds more like a short 3 tech than a defensive end. No, good talk. All right.
Oh wait. This kicker won the Lou Garza Award. What is that? Is that
DeGroza.
Country Joe?
Yeah, that's the best kicker in the country. Lou Groza Award. Great.
You won that in 2018. So
Jesus, COVID. 5 years ago? He won it 5 years ago.
Should have declared for the draft then, the 49ers, when I took him in the 2nd round.
Can we just re-sign Robbie now?
Yeah, it's possible.
Just bring Robbie.
Didn't he say something about he wouldn't be opposed to it or something like that? Didn't I hear something about him saying something about that?
2 or 3 years ago? I remember
that. No, like now. Because they did they let him go or whatever.
Oh, he won that award as a freshman too. This guy's our next kicker, guys. Number
I would hope
91.
so.
I love this dude.
5 years ago.
And he's a
Better have been
hometown
freshman.
from Illinois, Vernon Hills, Illinois. Okay.
Man, Cairo was automatic, bro. Like for so long. He did have a streak there where he effed up, but then
He
did
still
hit,
is
like,
pretty good.
50 in a
He just
row.
doesn't have a big leg. He just doesn't have a big leg. That's all.
Yeah. But Robbie didn't either for a long time. Then all of a sudden he, I
Whatever.
don't know.
I'm not the
Figure it out.
offensive
I'm just-
coordinator. I'm not the
I'm just
defensive
busting balls,
coordinator.
but if I had to pick one guy to make the team, it would be the kicker.
There you go. And you know what? That's what should be making a team off a practice squad after UDFA.
Facts.
Hey man, if he won the award, he's probably pretty damn good. So we'll see.
Hey, if you-
What happened? I mean, like he won the award as a freshman and then just all downhill from there?
He had 3 COVID seasons.
He peaked at 18.
I don't know.
What is
Syracuse
happening
was
over
horrible. I don't know.
Stop fapping over there. Goodness.
Whoa.
Sing the song, Joe.
Bear down, Chicago Bears, make every play clear the way to victory. Bear down, Chicago Bears, put up a fight with the might so fearlessly. We'll never forget the way you throw the nation with your T formation. Bear down, Chicago Bears, and don't forget why you're wearing the crown. You're the pride and joy of Illinois, Chicago Bears. Bear down.